Welcome to my YouTube channel. I guess they thought we were supposed to forget. Now, we just celebrated the Thanksgiving season. Now we're going into the Christmas season. And before the holiday, you know, they were talking about the Jeffrey Epstein files. Release the files. Release the files. Okay. Well, I guess the president, checkmated them because this is what the president said. And then this is what happened. So check this video out.
President Donald Trump is telling Republicans to vote to release the Epstein files, saying they have nothing to hide. His statement follows a fierce fight within the GOP over the files, including a nasty split with Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who had been one of his fiercest supporters. On Tuesday, House Republican leaders are planning to hold a vote. Now, that's what sources are telling CBS News tonight. If passed, the Department of Justice would have to release flight logs, travel records, and the names of individuals and entities referenced in any Epstein case within 30 days.
So now that you see that the president went on record telling the Republicans to basically, release the files, all of them, because they had nothing to hide. And actually, the president also went on record and he implicated a very powerful individual who basically renounced his throne. He don't even want to be called prince anymore and moved out of the royal palace. So check this video out.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem.
What do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool.
Now, there you have it. The president of the United States is on record, and the story goes that the president was the one that alerted the authorities about the island. OK, and he said it out of his mouth. And these are videos that's going back. OK, we're going back to basically make sure that, God's people are not going to perish due to the lack of knowledge. So now the Epstein files is implicated, many individuals, Hakeem, Jeffries, Jasmine Crockett is going on record to defend her colleague, Stacey Plaskett, a congresswoman out of the Virgin Islands, who actually said that Jeffrey Epstein was a constituent. So she's the congresswoman for the notorious Epstein Island. And she went on record and she was actually texting Jeffrey Epstein in a congressional hearing, which he had already been found guilty and had pled guilty for, sex trafficking and prostituting minors. So the thing, we cannot make this up. And now we have the Affordable Care Act. See, I guess they just want us to just move on and, go with their narrative. But right now, what happened to the Obamacare, how expensive it is. The shutdown turned out to be a joke because the Democrats didn't get anything out of the shutdown. Not one thing, but just a promise to have a conversation. So now that the Obamacare, the ACA, is on its way to being repealed and replaced, then we got to have these conversations. And the question is, what's going to replace it? And they're talking about, and I basically was privileged to actually introduce it, and it's the Healthy America Act. And we will be having these conversations because Project 2025 has pretty much been completed, and now we're going to move into Project 2026, and that's Black Americans and Americans that love God that's going to abandon the party, because it seems like the Democratic Party as a whole is basically sacrificing itself. It seems like the donors are pushing them off the plank because there's no coming back, because the shutdown was an epic fail. The Epstein files implemented all Democrats, Bill Clinton, Hakeem, Jeffries was soliciting campaign funding from the guy. And basically that was confirmed on the House floor. It is what it is. And then you have a Democrat texting a known sex offender, which is immoral. And Jasmine Crockett went on record to defend Stacey Plaskett. And she basically said that the Democrats have no moral standard. OK, and if you don't believe me, let's go ahead and just hear from the horse's mouth. Check this out.
About Rona, but do you think that was inappropriate? I mean, would you text with someone who is a registered sex offender about what you should ask?
I honestly know that he had never been convicted of any federal crimes at that time.
But he had been in jail already.
He had been in jail.
And now that the Democrats have been checkmated, and when I say checkmate, party over, there's no coming back. It's a wrap. no matter how the press and the media tries to spin it, the media is changing gears. MSNBC is now going off. It's no longer MSNBC anymore. They're promoting just MS. Okay, just like the tampon or whatever you want to call it, because it's MS, menstrual cycle. So that's what they're going by now, menstrual cycle now. So that was a prestigious outlet for news, but since they just went so far, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back, because they pressed Hakeem Jeffries about the Affordable Care Act, and he went on record and basically said that it's broken. So check this out.
Jeffries, though, even with those tax credits, premiums are exploding, and they'll be exploding under Obamacare. They'll be exploding in private health care. I mean, at what point are we going to sit down and figure out a systemic approach that actually is sustainable? Because we're not in it now. And again, even with those tax credits, the Obamacare premiums explode. Even worse, private healthcare premiums explode. Denials of coverage multiplying. A lot of those denials coming reportedly from AI. This system is failing the American people, and it's only going to get worse. What are we going to do?
There's no doubt about that, Joe. We have a broken healthcare system.
So now, we get an opportunity, to declare our independence, because if you are in a toxic marriage or a toxic relationship, you need to basically get out of that relationship. And if you get out of it, it does not mean that you need to get back into another relationship. Why don't you just be single? Why don't you be independent and just work on you? And that's what the American people have to do. And the Black Americans, the foundational Black Americans, are separating themselves, and we are organizing and building a coalition, because the Democratic Party is the sacrificial lamb. Because if God Almighty could sacrifice himself, or sacrifice his only begotten son, Jesus Christ, we could sacrifice our only begotten political party, because the party is on life support, and our marching order is do not resuscitate. Let the party die where it stands, and let the people perish with it and stay in the wilderness, because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. And it's time for God's people to rise above all this nonsense, because we got to end racism. And the only way we end racism is if Black America get its act together. And this is why a better Black America was created. And with that being said, hit that like, hit that notification. Okay, on Thursday, we're going live. We're going to be talking straight politics. So hit that notification button and hit that like, because it does help the algorithm. And we're going to continue to bring the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth with receipts. And with that being said, you guys have an amazing day. I'm your man, Bouchon Glover, signing out. A Better Black America TV on YouTube. Peace out.